ṣé lóòótọ́ ni nígbà àwọn tó wà nínú testament tuntun
àwọn tó kọ
àwọn tó kọ testament tuntun kò sí ìkànnù wọn tó pàdé Jésù báyìí lójúkorojú báyìí.
later when they tried to use science to debunk Christianity, science then proved that there was actually a Jesus. And most of all these religious books started revealing that there was actually a Jesus.
People will always nitpick as well, because I remember when I was in nígbà tí mo wà high school, I just say Yorùbá dé Matthew ṣe bọ́ sọ pé ẹja 5 pẹ̀lú búrẹ́dì 2 ni, wíwé tí Luke ṣe sọ pé ẹja 7 ni pẹ̀lú búrẹ́dì kìíní. They always nitpick those little tiny number to justify why the Bible is false and all that stuff. What do you want to say about that?
So like
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, The Celestial Voice Unplugged. My name is Afolabi Omolaja, and here with me is
Abiodun Ogunshote.
Today will be our final topic or subtopic in the series of Jesus Christ that we started. It goes like this. This is the topic. Is it true that no one in the New Testament actually met Jesus Christ? Ṣé lóòótọ́ ni nígbà àwọn tó wà nínú testament tuntun
àwọn tó kọ
testament tuntun kò sí ìkànnù wọn tó pàdé Jésù báyìí lójúkorojú báyìí? Ó la fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lé lónìí yìí. Just to be honest with you, I'm not quite versed in this topic, but I think we should just talk about it. So if you tó bá feel pé Mr. Abe nìkan ló ń sọ̀rọ̀, it's because he has more knowledge. Me, I'll just be doing alátakò díẹ̀díẹ̀ and we keep it going like that. Mr. Abe, carry us, take us there.
Yeah, so before we answer questions like that, we need to give context to it.
Thank you.
Like in one of the previous episodes, I mentioned that one of the tricks the devil played was to convince us that the Bible was just friction book, probably Jesus did not exist, things like that. But later, when they tried to use science to debunk Christianity, science then proved that there was actually a Jesus. And most of all these religious books started revealing that there was actually a Jesus. So the question that nobody that wrote the New Testament met Jesus came out of something like that. So I'll go over the Gospels and we'll go over their authors, and then we'll decide whether the assertion or the question is justified that none of them met Christ. If we start with the book of Matthew, the book of Matthew was written by Matthew, one of the apostles, one of the disciples of Christ, an apostle anyways. So that falls everything flat. If we go to the book of Mark, it was written by John Mark, who was a companion of Peter, the disciple of Christ. So what I need you to put at the back of your head was, back in the days, not everyone was literate enough to write things down. Like today, where you can read, you can write, you can type, you can download, not everyone back then could. And if you remember the way some of these disciples were gathered, some of them were just fishermen, no educational background whatsoever. They were fishermen that God called, Jesus called, I'll make you fishers of men. One of them was Peter. So John Mark, that's the man's full name, was a companion of Peter, and he wrote the story of Christ that Peter narrated. Luke was a physician that was going with Paul. I'll come back to Paul's issue later on. John, the book of John was written by John, one of the apostles of Christ. So I've gone over Matthew, Mark, and John. I skip Luke for now. I'm coming back to it. Those 3 were written by disciples of Christ.
So that one is confirmed. Disciples of Christ. They see Jesus and the book. Okay.
They were disciples of Christ anyway. So they were with Christ till he died, and even they saw him when he resurrected. So even when you have book like 1 John, 2 John, First Peter, Second Peter, same thing attributed to him. So I've gone over a couple of books now that we can attribute directly to the disciples of Christ. Now, someone like Paul wasn't a disciple at the time. So,
but òun ló kọ̀wé jù nínú
Yeah.
gbogbo wọn.
but he knew about the teachings of Christ, which was what pissed him off, and that's why he was persecuting Christ.
Mhm.
That's why he was persecuting Christians. And then he saw Jesus. He didn't follow him as a disciple, but he saw him after resurrection on his way to Damascus. If you know the story in the Bible. So he saw Jesus. And before he went into ministry and also started writing the author letters. So if the question is, the people that wrote the Testament did not meet Jesus, he actually met Jesus. He wasn't a disciple, but he met Jesus and was alive at the time when Jesus was actually alive and teaching. It was actually the teaching that triggered him, and that's why he was going after Christians, trying to slaughter them. It was actually, Saul was a bad guy at a point. You get,
Biased.
as in, so he was alive at the time and he knew the teachings of Christ. He just did not like the teachings of Christ at the time. So that excuses all the letters Paul wrote, because he was alive during the time of Christ. Now, maybe the few books that are being contested here and there will be some book like, I think, Hebrews, where the authorship of it is still debated, whether it's Paul, whether it's Luke, but it's still one of those people. But there isn't a definite person on who wrote it. Revelation obviously was written by John, one of the disciples of Christ. So if you go over all those books, you can't come to the realization that it wasn't written by people that saw Christ. Now, another way to look at the scriptures is, you must have heard that there are some books that were not included in the Bible. Now, you need to ask yourself, why were these ones included and those ones not included? It goes back to the authorship. Now, when you look at a book like Luke, written by Luke, a physician, not a disciple, and you ask yourself, why am I reading the book of Luke? And then you realize that it was written by someone who was writing Paul's testimony, who was going with Paul. Number two, when you compare, you need to realize that these people that wrote the Bible did not sit down together. When they were writing it, I'm not talking about the compilation of the Bible. When they were writing it, they were not in the same area. So Matthew was somewhere doing his thing, writing down what he remembered.
Witness, yep.
Luke was with Paul, writing down. John was somewhere writing down his own. Mark also was a different person. They were someone like John Mark, for instance. There were people who they were not even disciples of Christ, so they had leeway to even maybe put errors if they wanted to. But where you now realize that what is in the Bible was actually confirmed collations was when you read the book of Matthew, read the book of Luke, you see that the storyline aligns. Some descriptions are different because it's coming from the point of view of different people. Like if the two of us are running now and we're describing the distance we're going to, if you're in front of me and I'm describing my view, I'm describing the destination and also Brother Michael in front of me.
Yeah.
If you are describing your own view, there's nobody in front of you, it's just open field. But we are going towards the same direction. So you look at their storyline about Jesus Christ, it all aligns. They are saying the same thing with coming from different descriptions, which was why the people that were collating the Bible were able to pick out some of those scriptures and like, okay, this is confirmed, this follows, this follows, this follows. There were people that were also alive at the time that could confirm that, okay, this happened, this happened. Like we also said in the previous episode, the Romans and even some people that were not Romans realized that the Christian movement was getting bigger, and a lot of people needed to capitalize on that movement, and they started writing books about Christ, even though they didn't even know anything about Christ. So the easiest way for the people that were collecting the Bible at the time to throw those away was, number one, the story about Christ did not align. There was no second person to actually confirm that this person actually has any knowledge of what they are saying. So that's why those scriptures were thrown to the side, and these ones were chosen. So that's how we came to the New Testament as we have it today.
So people will always nitpick as well, because I remember when I was in nígbà tí mo wà high school, I didn't say Yorùbá dé. Matthew ṣe bọ́ sọ pé ẹja márùn-ún pẹ̀lú búrẹ́dì méjì ni. Lórí tí Luke ṣe sọ pé ẹja méje ni pẹ̀lú búrẹ́dì kìíní. They always nitpick those little tiny number to justify why the Bible is false and all that stuff. What do you want to say about that?
So, like I said earlier, that's where you can see the beauty of it. Because if the Bible was designed to actually deceive you, they would have told Luke to correct that his own. Now, Luke is writing from the point of view of Paul, who heard the story at the time. That's why when you are reading the Bible, like I said in some previous episode, knowledge you can get, understanding is given to you by God. You need to understand the scriptures when you are reading them. So someone like Matthew was there. He's part of the disciple. He did there. When Jesus formed the whole magic, he did there. Paul was somewhere else. He was told the story at the time. That guy we call himself Messiah, he has done another thing. They even said maybe he turned 5 loaves of bread into something. So there's avenue for Paul not to get those kind of accounts accurately, which he then told to Luke. But the idea of that storyline is to point out the miracle that happened, whether it's 7, whether it's 5. The idea of you feeding people, thousands of people with that little amount of bread and fish was the idea of that story, not the number itself. Because even if you go with 7, that are feeding thousands of people with just 7 loaves of bread, how do you do it now? As in, did you turn your hand to bakery? Or if it's 5 bread, you get. So the idea behind them writing that story was to write about the miracle itself, not the specifics of the normal number of the Bible. So there are people who want to tackle Christians and nitpick on things like that. But when you pray for understanding and you understand why some of these Bible scriptures were written, then you can look past some of those things to understand that, okay, this is the miracle they are trying to point you to, that Christ did this at this time, not the number. So I can understand where the pushback is coming from. But
thank you very much, Mr. Abe. Like I said, I really don't know much about this area, so I just let him take over. We have come to the end of our first.
Just a quick one. So I don't know if are we going to have a different episode for Old Testament?
Yeah, we are at some point.
Yeah, we'll speak about the Old Testament.
We'll still come to the Bible in general, and we'll be picking some things that are off. We're not off, because nothing is off in the Bible.
Because the compilation of the Old Testament is different from the New Testament. So
and New Testament and modern times are like facing across each other, which is probably where that one will go into.
No, even Old Testament and modern times are not.
Yes. But Old Testament is Old Testament. There is structure, there is law, there is no grace. New Testament, Jesus come, now there is grace. And now, in this modern world, the grace has been pushed to...
We are squeezed grace, like grace they have the find.
Exactly. So now, we'll probably, we'll have a topic about that at some point. Like, this is a new podcast. We're doing it gradually. But before we go, our next topic or episode will be about the doctrine of the Celestial Church of Christ. We will
the founding, everything,
exactly,
background of Celestial
and
Church.
how we worship. We are going to shake table for this one because there's some things.
People should get
ready.
Go and restructure your tables.
Exactly. There's some things we're going to talk about. Majority of you may not like it.
We're coming with hammer.
Exactly. Truth needs to be told. And even us, if you're wrong, we need to be corrected anyway.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us this far.
Read your Bible, pray
every day.
Yeah.
Leave a comment in the comment section if you agree or disagree. Once again, thank you very much for staying with us.
Yeah.
I can say you're about. Hey, so for me, we must ẹ ṣé tẹ́ dúró tì wá o, Ọlọ́run á bùkún yín o. Orúkọ mi Afọlábí Ọmọlájà.
Abiodun Ogunshote.
God bless you all. Thank you very
Take
much.
Into historical times to explore what it was like around the time when Celestial Church was founded. We want to look at what was going on in West Africa and also Nigeria specifically and some surrounding countries to see what was going on spiritually, socially, what were the movements when it comes to religion, what were the strong movements at the time, and what led to the foundation of Celestial Church, and why did it gain most traction when it was founded?
They're more angels related, heavenly based related. Yeah. And according to the Bible, with my little knowledge, we supposed to be worshiping Jesus and God, not celestial. Do you agree or disagree?
No, yeah. We're worshiping
exactly Christ. So people who don't know about the celestials and hear the Celestial Church of Christ, it sort of come across as if we are worshiping angels.
So there might be misconception of the name Celestial and how did we arrive at that name Celestial.
So the question for today is, where did the name Celestial come from? Like, how was it coined into being called a Celestial member? Because it sounds, from someone who doesn't know, you go, you say, well, these people worship angels or heavenly angels. So please help us break it down, explain it as best as you can. The name Celestial, how do we coin it? How do we come to the name Celestial, being a Celestial member? Thank you, sir.
And as the Constitution tells us, it says the name of the church came down from heaven. Right? So it came down from heaven, divine revelation by Alexander Younger. It says that at the time he was undergoing the spiritual healing at the residence of Bishop Shofa, and he was in the trance for 7 days. And so at the end of the 7th day, he took a chalk and he wrote these words on a wall. Eglise du Christianime, Nisme, meaning Celestial Church of Christ.
Let me just quickly put you more in depth into the Celestial there. If you go into our hymn book, hymn 77, verse 2, where he says there, in that hymn 77, verse 2, which is also part of what my brother just said there. Only nipa ọ̀rọ̀ lada efufu eshiloba ekoni ayodidun. Only tagba esi lẹ́nu ẹ̀yin àwọn áńgẹ́lì. So our worship in the Celestial is something that the angels, to do. So agba esi yẹn, so whatever we are doing in the Celestial Church of Christ,